The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hi everyone, thanks for joining. We're going to get started here pretty shortly. A few more people are joining. Chat soon. Welcome for those that just joined. We're going to get started here in just a couple of minutes. We're waiting for everyone to jump on. Talk to you soon.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to our very first webinar for our owners and managers in the first 52 weeks of operations. Let's get started. She is our ops manager that specializes in pre and post opening. So she supports a lot of the owners out there in their first 8 to 10 weeks prior to opening, and then 8 to 10 weeks post opening. So she delivers your first field visit and basically helps you take your first steps. Next up, who I have here with me is
Hello,
Miss Melissa McComb. Let's try her to the left. There she is. Do you want to give us your background, Melissa?
So I've been with Hand & Stone for about 5 years. I started out as a manager in Florida for my first 3 years, and I've been on the corporate team for the last 2. I'm the director of operations, supporting a team of lovely ladies that are out in the field, including Brooke, and our mission is to really perfect this first 52 weeks in operation and get everyone kicked off strong.
So that leaves me. I'm on the right, Megan Malley. I have basically done everything besides massage therapy and skincare. I've been a spa associate, I've been a spa manager, I have been a regional ops manager, and currently assistant VP of operations. So again, working with a team of Miss Melissa and Brookie, supporting all of our spas within their first 52 weeks. What many of you may not realize is that as of January of this year, the opening process was put into our department. So in the past, the training department oversaw spa owners that were about to open. And since the new year, we have added this important role to our department so that there was a nice seamless transition from the opening few months to your regional operations managers that oversee the markets in which you've opened. We've developed a lot of supporting material on this new year, and Melissa and I really thought it best to take time at this point in the year to really just give some high-level advice that we see a lot of the owners out there really benefiting from. And so that's what we're here to do today.
So we have 405 total spas in our system. 49 of those spas are actually in their first 52 weeks, and we hope all 49 of those spas are on this webinar today. So that means we have 356 spas to learn from to help all of you in your first 52 weeks really perfect that process. So we dug through a lot of our spas that have just, exited the first 52 weeks. We talked to a lot of our spas in the system that have been doing this for 10 plus years and wanted to come up with the top 5 things that if in a perfect world we could get each of you to put on your plate and execute properly, we would be at a good place. The essay coaching is super important to start early on so that your essays get comfortable with that. We want to listen to phone calls to make sure we're maximizing those. We want to see what our clients are saying through SMG and apply that feedback early on. We want to make sure facials are a priority. And we want to celebrate those wins, as small or as large as they are. We're going to dive into these each a little bit further. So essay coaching, this is something that from day one when you have spa associates that we want to get them comfortable with feedback. Sometimes we can wait a little bit too long and then it feels as if they're in trouble or they did something wrong or it's criticism rather than it being constructive and a part of the norm early on. You want to set that tone of a helpful collaborative approach so when you give that feedback, they know it's in their best interest and you're working with them, not against them. So we have a couple of different resources to help you with that. Hopefully everyone on is familiar with our static reports, also known as our Sunday reports. So on Sundays, you should receive an email with these reports, and it breaks down each department, MT, LE, and SA, for their weekly performance that week and month to date, year to date, tons of great data in there. These are built so that you can spend less time pulling the numbers and use your time to coach one-on-one with them. We definitely recommend a communication platform as well. Slack, Asana are a couple apps that are pretty popular and they're free. This allows you to communicate to individuals or to a group. Some stick with the old school emails and texts, and that works great as well. But you want to pick something early on and stick with it so that your team knows how you communicate early on and they're comfortable with that communication.
The perfect combination of essay coaching involves a more formal review on the first of each month where you're reflecting on the previous month's performance. It's really important that this be one-on-one and that you're being realistic in how much that spa associate can accomplish, either the past month or in the current month. And when setting goals, it's nice to really customize that in accordance with what that spa associate is doing currently. So for example, a lot of new owners want to know, what are my benchmarks? What are the goals? What is quote unquote good performance? When it comes to these one-on-one reviews, I think it's more important that that spa associate feel empowered and confident and that they can reach that goal. So what I mean by that is, even if we are aspiring to convert at, say, 25% or 30% for our spa, when you have a spa associate that's currently converting at 15%, there's greater value in tasking them to reach 20% this current month than, say, going all the way to 30. They'll be respectful, they'll nod, they'll agree with you, but they could be thinking in their head, there's no way I could do that. And ultimately, that one-on-one then becomes discouraging instead of encouraging. The other tip I would add would be that we have to make sure that in these one-on-one reviews, we're not just delivering the data and showing them how they're doing, like a report card, if you will. I think the most important part of these reviews is to coach your spa associate in a way that they know how to reach the goal that they've set. So if we're only sharing these static reports and letting them know how they're currently performing, they don't walk away from that conversation knowing any better how they're able to do any better that next day.
Right, and I think a fatal flaw early on is maybe saying, oh, I'm just going to wait a couple months until we get everything under the belt before I start delivering some of these performance evaluations. And you definitely want to start these early on, like I said, at month 1, so they expect it and they know it, and hopefully they look forward to it, so they have that time to improve.
And I would also add, we know that when you just opened, you don't feel like an expert yourself either. But, something that Melissa and I have learned over the years is that you don't have to have all the answers before a conversation like this. It could be a collaboration. So when you're reviewing the performance with your SPA associates one-on-one, you can talk together. Ask them, what do you feel really confident in? What do you think you need a little bit more help in? How can I help you? So I just would encourage all of you to not hesitate to begin these monthly reviews. And don't feel like you have to have it all figured out and all perfected, and your conversion rate has to be so high in order for you to know what type of advice to give. It could be something you figure out together.
Absolutely. So that takes us to phone calls and really diving into evaluating these on a normal basis. If you've had your first field visit with us, you know that we listen to these phone calls when we're on site, and we find a lot of valuable information. Maybe we're not asking if we're offering facials or asking for upgrades or connecting, and we find these things out a couple months in. But think about all of the opportunities that we can maximize if we start this early on. I encourage you to use the phone call grading worksheet, which you can see over here on the right, for your essays to actually grade some phone calls themselves. There's a really powerful outcome when the essays have to check off yes or no to these questions, and you can kind of see where each of them fall into these categories. Are they connecting well with the client, but they're not asking for those upgrades, and you can really customize their training based on the type of phone call. It also gives us the opportunity to see, do we have areas for improvement in operations with our booking efficiency, or does that fall into advertising?
Yeah, I would say that very early on, we immediately look at our prospect count. And, without a strong member base at that point, it feels slow. We're used to going into these high operating spas and seeing the sales data reports that's reporting 300 tickets a week. And all is you've worked so hard to build the spa and prepare and place orders and train. And then it just feels really quiet. So we always go straight to that prospect count to measure our advertising. But, a hidden lead source is these phone calls. Unless every single phone call that comes into the spa ends up with an appointment on the books, there's an opportunity there. I'm reminded of a few years back when one of the spas I supported was in their first year of operations. And, I was guilty myself of not realizing really what kind of training was required for this front desk to know how to, quote unquote, close the sale. And the sale meaning booking an appointment. So if you're in your first few months of operations, or you have a brand new spa associate out there, listen to those recorded phone calls and determine whether they know how to convince that client to come in and get an appointment on the books, even if it's not that requested time. A lot of times we listen to these recorded phone calls and the spa associates are very quick to say, unfortunately, we don't have that time, or we're all booked, or we don't have any massages available. They're very quick to deliver that bad news, when in reality, our response should always be positive. What do we have? What availability do we have for massage or facial? Versus giving them that bad news and asking for permission to maybe find another appointment for them. So it's a really valuable piece of advice to go back into our Yodel accounts and listen to the last several phone calls and measure your booking efficiency. Out of the last 10 phone calls that came into your spa, how many of those calls ended up as appointments on the books?
I think it's kind of interesting. A little tip is go back to your essays and ask them, what is our main goal when the phone rings? A little hint, the answer is to book an appointment, but sometimes we'll get answers from essays like, well, to answer their questions or give information. We want them to think every time that phone rings, the goal is to get an appointment booked somewhere on the appointment book even if it's a facial when they were asking for a massage.
So now let's get into SMG scores. So I can almost guarantee that if we were to rate all 5 of the items we're reviewing today in an effort to not delay, SMG is probably the one out of that long list that most of us take our time with. We delay on this. So we thought it was worth giving a bit of a background on how SMG works in the first place. So if all of you out there are familiar, we have a scoring system through SMG called the Net Promoter Scoring. The way that works is, the theory behind this is that in a scale of 1 to 5, unless your customer scores you as 5, they are not what we call loyal to you. That means even a 4, then nothing necessarily went wrong, but they're not 100% committed to coming back to your business. We can draw a strong comparison to the fact that we are a member-based business, in that unless that person is a 5, 100% committed to you, they are willing to try another place. So scores of 3 and 4 are dangerous because those aren't people that had something terrible go wrong. They're not the people that are going to say, excuse me, I had a really bad experience. Let me tell you why. Those are the people that are like, that was good. But they move on. They move on likely to a competitor. So our SMG scores use the Net Promoter Scoring system and measure how many 5s we have in each category. So a lot of us may be confused, like, why is the scoring that I get on SMG different than the scoring I get through, say, Demandforce or Google? And that's why. It's because it's a different scoring system. And through SMG, it's a scale of 1 to 5. And any number other than 5 essentially counts as a 0. 1, 2, 3, 4s. You're not going to necessarily get an alert or a client complaining about something that's gone wrong. And that's why it's really important to dig into these SMG scores and know, where do we fall anywhere below perfect? And what type of operational training do we have behind that area of the business that we can perfect?
Right. And the full scale report is going to allow you to dive into those reports a little bit more and break it down by service provider and see how do we take that information and apply it to our team to make changes. For example, it'll show you a couple questions on there. Did the front desk use your first name? Did the massage therapist or esthetician offer water after the service? Did they suggest your next appointment? Did they customize the lighting or the heated table in the room? So you're diving into those questions that you may be receiving some no's on, where we can go back into a one-on-one training or a meeting if needed and give that feedback so we can make those changes early on. It also will show you some of your top performers that are doing things well that we can pull from and have examples for some of our lower performers.
I'd invite you to be careful and not be too emotional when you're reviewing these scores. It's a very tough lesson to learn, especially within our first 52 weeks, to not feel defensive, whether they're calling out an employee by name or just generally criticizing the business or the look or the feel. It does take you to an emotional place to see that we're anything but perfect. I think it's important to see these scores as a way to really dig in and know what needs to be my focus in the spa. Remember that you're not alone now that the business is open. You have leads, you have trainers, you have, even if they're not official titles on the staff, you have people that are in leadership roles. And you can talk to them just in the same way that we gave you an example of with the SA coaching. You can talk to them and say, like, here's what some of the clients are saying. What do we think can be our solve here? So all of it should be driving you to a particular area of the business, a particular part of the client experience, and bringing you back to those basics and the training material we have available to perfect that process.
And I invite you to share the questions that are on the survey with your employees so they know what type of questions we're asking so that they can aim to achieve those benchmarks. You can also break down the scores member versus non-member, and this is really telling you may see that we are kind of going the extra mile with our non-members in terms of greeting and accommodating, and we may drop the ball a little bit on the member side. And so this kind of shows you where in the training process do we target to see those scores. The member cancellation survey came out fairly recently, and this is a neat feature where a survey gets sent to the client after they've terminated their membership, so we can dive into their cancellation a little bit more. We often find that the reason they originally canceled has a little bit more backstory, and after they've had some time to think a little bit, can give us some really great feedback that we can then apply to our operation moving forward.
I'm reminded of a story that we showcased in last year's conference where a manager was really able to take those SMG scores and increase them from one visit to another. And it was in a really neat way. They had what she called an SMG party, where she had the whole staff get together, and she reviewed some of the comments that were left by clients. But she didn't do it in a way that, led with, we have SMG comments to read and let's see what clients are saying about us. Instead, she invited the staff to consider if they were to go to their favorite spa or their favorite hair salon, taking them mentally to a place where they were receiving a service. And her questions pulled from the comments left by clients. And she would ask questions like, so if you're at, Elizabeth Arden for, this $200 service you're really looking forward to, what would you think if somebody walked through the lobby with Chinese food for dinner? How would that feel if you have the beautiful fragrance of the spa and then somebody's lunch walk past, and then a few minutes later, that's your therapist that greets you. So, what would that make you think? And, her whole point was to get the staff to realize from the client perspective what these clients were experiencing. And it was in a non-defensive way, to take them out of their roles as service providers and spa associates and put them in the perspective of the clients. And it ended up being a real game changer for them, and they were a lot more aware.
So booking facials is a huge opportunity early on. We know that our business is a majority driven towards massage, but the facial side of the business is quickly picking up as well. And one of the biggest ways to drive this is simply to offer them. You'd be surprised how many more facials you'll have on the book by simply asking, I have a facial right after that massage. How does that sound? How many yeses you will get. Simply offering them on the phone, in person. When we check in a client and we see that there's a facial right after, you may consider offering $5 or $10 off that facial if they book that right after. As you start to build your member base, packages will accumulate, and you may be able to offer that facial for no out-of-pocket cost to them simply by using another package. There's some really great demand force templates as well. We have them listed right there where you can kind of customize the type of client you're targeting. The Nervous to Try a Facial is a really great one. It has a quick 30-second video of like a facial being performed sped up to introduce to massage clients that may have never had a facial before. You can also do the esthetician spotlight. Some spas have perfected this where they have a picture of the esthetician in the email, a little bit about their background and why they're passionate about aesthetics, and offer a coupon for them to come in and book with, say, Ashley R. Right? It can be a great way to boost those facials. I think our members are an opportunity that we underutilize a bit with the facials. They start coming in for the massage services and we automatically classify them as that massage client, and we have a huge opportunity to educate them on facials. It pains me when I hear a client say, oh, you do facials? And I glance at their history and they've been with us for 6 months and they have absolutely no idea. That means we haven't offered them. So when you're listening to those phone calls, when you're observing at the front desk, see when and if we're offering facials and make that tweak. This is an easy one that doesn't require any additional time. Just got to get that habit built of offering the facial.
And now for my favorite one. We saved the best for last. We are inviting every single person on this webinar to celebrate wins. You are all fighting to reach profitability. You are all measuring your performance up against the others. We have some spas in the chain for 10 or more years, and you just feel like you're trying to catch up. But I can tell each and every one of you that there is something you have accomplished. Even for those owners that haven't opened yet, you've probably placed some order off of the what to buy menu. We have something that we could celebrate each and every day. If you start building a culture of celebration, I can guarantee you your team is going to work harder from that moment on to get the next win. If there's anything you take away from this webinar, it is to find something to celebrate each and every day. My advice to managers all the time is when you leave at the end of the shift and you drive away from that spa, you have left a list of things to do. I can guarantee you, if it's anything from my manager days, you've crossed a few off your list and you've probably added just as many to the bottom. There's always something to do. There's always something to figure out. But drive away and think of an accomplishment. Think of a win you had with a member of your staff, and think of a win you had with a client. You're really going to feel a lot more fulfilled and a lot more motivated that next day to get back in there and start over again so that you are working for your wins. So take a look at this list here. There's so many different areas of the business that we know we can celebrate. Are you about to hit a member milestone? Let's broadcast that with the team. Hey, we're so close to 200 members. Any number can essentially be a milestone. And if you include the team and you celebrate that win, they're ready for the next milestone right away. Conversion rates. Whether you have a conversion rate to celebrate for new prospects, repeat prospects, the spa as a whole, or a particular spa associate that's been working really hard to hit that next threshold, there is somebody that you can celebrate. Request rates. This is a big one. You know, a lot of us have a commission structure that's based off of tiers, based off of requests. Have we acknowledged service providers that have made it to the next tier? Do we share people that are our top requested service providers? Do they know? This is something we can absolutely celebrate. Even if you're just handing your tips to a therapist at the end of their shift, let them know, hey, good job today. Did you know that half of your book today was full of requests? Like, you're really getting popular here. That type of acknowledgement and that in the moment celebration can mean so much to these people that come in and work so hard for our business. Customer reviews. I've seen break rooms that are just showered in accolades. So when there's a positive review left anywhere, I've seen a lot of managers just cut those out, print them, cut them out, and put them on the cabinets in the break room. Or you could have a celebration board if you don't like the idea of all of that tape stuck to your cabinets in the break room. You can have a celebration board. There's so many different ways that we can celebrate wins.
Yeah, and I think a good point here is it doesn't have to be a $100 Visa gift card that you give out when you congratulate someone. A lot of this is verbal and building that culture that we celebrate these types of things, but no matter how small or big. But you can really take this as far as you'd like. But I would, think in your spa right now, where do you have celebratory type things? See if your break room has that feel and where we can feel celebrated. I love the idea also of a potluck where each of your staff member brings in one of their homemade recipes that they love, and then they pass out the recipes and everyone gets to share their food that they enjoy. It's a great way to bring everyone together. Sometimes it's a summer picnic, or it's as simple as a high five or congrats, like when you're giving out the tips. It really goes a long way.
Our top performers in the system they run a tight ship. And I've had the the opportunity to sit in a lobby of many of our top performers in the system. And, we know they're strict. They have policies that they adhere to, and their staff respects them, and their staff follows those policies. But what all of them also have in common is that they celebrate huge wins. We have some of the top names that you've all heard so much about in these lobbies high-fiving. They text the spa associates when they know that a membership was sold. They call the spa even when they're not on site to say good job. You can use those communication platforms like Asana and Slack to post something in front of the spa associate channel and tell them how proud of them you are. And that's absolutely what some of our top performers all have in common, is that ability to balance celebration with accountability.
So we're here to celebrate some of your wins. You can see here our Christmas in July performance. We have a couple spas here. The Villages in Florida, Fort Myers in Florida, and Strongville, Ohio reported incredible gift card sales in the month of July. You can see the average is right over $12,000, and they've doubled plus some, in some cases here even tripled. Truly incredible work from these three spas. If you go back and think about what your spa performed in Christmas in July, anything above that 12,000 mark up to these top performers, you should be very, very proud of where that first year average kind of falls.
You have your head down and you're focusing within the four walls of your business. So a lot of times you're using a feeling to drive whether you feel like you've done well or not at the end of a promotion like this. So it's kind of neat to see what the first year average is here and know that everyone out there that performed above 12,000 really killed it. For those of you out there that did under 12,000, I think it's really important to know that the Christmas in July, in my mind, can be viewed as a dress rehearsal. I wouldn't want this to make it outside of this webinar and for anyone outside of our system to know this. But Christmas isn't in July. So this was a made-up holiday. So this could tell us, if we performed under 12,000, we have an opportunity here. So as we gear up for fourth quarter gift card season,
Real Christmas,
that's when it really happens. As we gear up, what's our takeaways? Is it a particular spa associate that needs more confidence to get out there and offer gift cards? What did we learn during Christmas in July? Is it a quantity issue? Perhaps we didn't appeal to the member base that we have. Perhaps we need to invest a little bit more in advertising so that we have these mailers going out into the market. Or maybe it's a big question mark. Maybe we don't know why we underperformed in Christmas in July, which also tells me something. That means we didn't spend enough time observing the staff and building their confidence and finding out exactly how each of them performed with this holiday. So I wouldn't take Christmas in July as a loss if you did perform under 12,000. I would take it as foreshadowing and a call to action, if you will, so that we can really make sure that when the real holiday occurs, we kill it.
Conversion rate. We have some really great performance here as well. Avon, Indiana. Burleson, Texas. Reynoldsburg, Ohio, really great conversion, all above 35%, up to 40%. And these spas have been opened in the last couple of months. Really great work here. First year average coming in at 23.5%. So you can see again, applying that same concept, anything between that first year average and these top performers is truly incredible.
That 23.5% is really awesome to see too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Excellent.
Massage upgrades. So, we focused on driving all of these enhanced services with our clients so that we have a unique experience and they're just not getting that classic massage or facial. These are the types of things that are going to keep your clients loyal to you. They want to come back for that CBD massage with Himalayan. They want to come back for dermal infusion. And these spas have done an incredible job with performing these enhanced services very early on.
These upgrades are an absolute hidden revenue driver, especially going back to that conversation we had about prospects. It does take some time to build up volume in the business, but you can add up to an extra $500 a week in sales by upgrading your services.
And then your service providers are reaping that benefit as well. They're making higher commissions from the beginning. They're seeing the value in working for you, and they're not just making a classic massage or facial commission, and long-term going to end up in more employee retention. So great job to these spas for massage upgrades. Facial upgrades. California, Maryland is killing it at 42% of their facials being upgraded, and the average is 11.5%. Truly incredible. Chesapeake, Virginia, Doral, Florida, really great work here. You've put an emphasis on these facial services early on. And I think we all wish we had more massage therapists. I'm sure there's not one person on this call that says, no, don't give me a massage therapist. So these spas have recognized the potential in the facial side of the business, and we can really emphasize how important it is to build up that facial side. When we maybe are short on some massage therapists, we can make double the amount in a facial than we can in a massage, and kind of help make up for some of those holes in the books we might have on the massage side. Great work, guys.
Good job.
So we would love to hear, what are your goals? What are some goals you currently have in place? Go ahead and use the comment feature, the question feature on the webinar to share with some of your current goals.
Put those goals out there. Type, 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 type. Share your goals.
All right, let's see here.
Some people typing. Okay, so we have someone out there that has really made it a goal to focus on training spa associates. Ooh, they're all coming in. 1,000 members by end of year 1. I love that.
I love how
It's been
specific.
done. Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. There's the milestone. Let's make sure we're celebrating our wins along the way.
Mm-hmm.
Memberships, retention. Ooh, we've got cap locks on that one. Member goal of 1,500 by November. Fantastic. Great. I think that spa just hit their 1 year just a few months ago. So absolutely possible. Sales technique. So this spa is focused on conversion. Okay, so this person's focused on opening. I love that goal. That is a very important goal.
Yep.
Just sign their lease. Confidence, communication, so important.
Ooh, I love this one. Bring on dermal infusion by mid-fall.
Yes.
Lisa Rossman would love to hear that. 1 million in sales in the first year.
Yes.
Good. So we have a lot of specific
Pre-booking,
goals.
that's great. Oh, we're so focused.
Good.
Excellent. Thank you so much for participating in that. So we were just thinking off the top of our head, what goals would we have if we were in our first 52 weeks of operation? So here's some of the things that we were thinking of. And I love how in line it was with the comments that you entered. So certainly membership milestones. I heard 1,000. I heard 1,500. Awesome. And some of us are just looking to break 10,000 in weekly sales. Breaking even. That's I have to say, I'm sure, even if we didn't type it, that is a goal of all of ours. And then it was really neat to have that dermal infusion in there. So to bring on a new service, to be at a point where we can bring that on. And also just to pay yourself, owners out there. So now is our next question, and we're hoping that you go ahead and type back into that comment section again. So we just shared our goals, right? Loud and clear, we heard them all. So tell me, up until now, before we broadcasted all your goals on this webinar, who knew these goals? Who have you shared these goals with? Oh, I love that answer. So someone just said, no one except me.
Transparency.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What else do we have?
Who else? Okay, just my wife. Absolutely. I can certainly see that. Okay, so somebody else answered. The owners, the manager, the spa associates. Owners and managers. Okay. So this person admits the management team knows in their spa, but it's something that they really want to work on sharing with the entire team so that everybody's on the same page. I love where you're going with that. Someone else just said, their spouse, coworkers outside of Hand and Stone. Good. SAT, managers, awesome. So here's what we thought the answers could be. Absolutely no one, just a spouse, managers, front desk, and everyone. And I'm really happy that we predicted right. We saw such a variation of answers in who knows our goal. So, I'm borrowing this from Todd Leff himself. He shared with us earlier this year that, it's a proven fact that when you set a goal and you share it with others, that you're more likely to reach that goal. If you're familiar with a initiative that the ops team started this year called the #SharedVision, that was really the idea behind it, is to announce what our goals were for 2019 and strive to reach them. And so we would encourage all of you, in the name of transparency, to share your goals. No matter what those goals happen to be, there wasn't a single answer that you gave that I didn't think was worth sharing with everyone in your building, everyone in your life. And you announce that goal and you're more committed to reaching it.
Absolutely. So how do you share this goal? There's a lot of different ways we can go about it. That may be a countdown that you have. So you have 1,000 members and you start counting it down until we get there. Maybe we communicate it on Slack or Asana and give updates. We may have contests to get to our goal. It may be as high level of a profit and loss review with management and really dive deeper into there and see how close we are to breaking even. But find which way is going to communicate your goal and get it out to at least everyone in your building and the more people around you to make that happen.
So with this in mind, some of you may have been familiar with the #SharedVision initiative, and for some of you out there, this is the first you've heard of this. This has been our mission all year long, to share our visions in a very transparent way and to learn your visions. If we come together with a common goal and work as partners towards that, then we're going to be more supported and more likely to accomplish these goals. So here's my goal. So as soon as the opening operations position was put under the operations department that Melissa and I oversee, we knew we needed to know what our goal was. How are we going to measure our performance? How are we going to know we did right by all of the owners and managers out there that are investing in this business and we want to see succeed? So we took a look at the first year averages for the last 5 years. We're coming up on being able to measure our 2018 openings so soon. Our goal, and I share it with you now, is to hit 550,000 average for all of our first 52-week spas. And let's work together on this. Melissa, myself, and Brooke have a lot of great ideas that we think all of us can talk about and apply in an effort to reach this goal.
So how do we get there? We've talked about some great best practices on our day-to-day business and our goals and our transparency. The next step, I think, is this membership initiative. So at about 3 months of being open, can be more than that, we can look at doing a second chance offer. I had the pleasure of piloting this in the South Naples location a few weeks ago. Shout out to them for being a demo on this. But what it does is, if you guys remember back to your Facebook grand opening event, we put a campaign up on Facebook, the lead gen ad, and we collected email addresses letting the public know we're opening soon. Please include your email address below to get information about free services and our promotions coming up. We then emailed that database for our Facebook grand opening event and invited them to come in for free services. We probably serviced anywhere from 25 to 75 clients out of that database, and there's a lot of email addresses that we had there that may not have actually came in for a service. So we want to use that database and any other non-members you may have that you'd like to email and invite them back in for a free service at least 3 months post-opening. This is going to provide an abundance of services for your service providers, going to give an opportunity to pitch memberships. And the best part about it is we've been doing this for at least 3 months. We're trained, we're prepared, we're at a much better place to pitch memberships probably than we were back at that Facebook grand opening event when we were just doing it for practice. Now we're comfortable and can really execute. Shout out to the South Naples location that converted at 40% during this effort. They did incredible. So really great opportunity. Some of you might have already been communicating with me on this event. Appreciate it so much. I think it's going to be fantastic. We can really customize it to your spa, and I look forward to seeing how we generate some new leads here.
I remember when we first introduced the Facebook grand opening event itself in week 5, waiting 30 days for that first round of EFTs to come through. In week 5, we saw the weekly revenue practically double in some cases, and it would have otherwise taken several months to gain that member count, and now we were seeing that EFT revenue coming in so strong in week 5. I am absolutely confident that with more than 3 months under your belt and a staff that knows how to convert service providers that can deliver amazing services, we can have yet another week where it is a short-term cost to service these clients commission-wise, but a huge win in a return on investment by having that many more members to bill, 30 days after that week. So really impressed with the preliminary numbers we're seeing using South Naples as an example, but I really think that this could be a great way to get us to that $550,000 average.
And September and October are great months for this before we start preparing for Q4. So something to think about in the next, few weeks before we start ramping up for Q4.
So we couldn't say goodbye without dropping a few gems for you. I thought back on, what are some really magical pieces of advice that some of our brand new owners and managers out there might not know that could be real game changers for you. So as simple as they may seem, if you're not aware of some of these things, I thought it was worth mentioning now while we're all together. So the first one is that you can actually receive a text alert when a membership is sold in Millennium. So there's a way to set that up in Millennium. And that's what a lot of our multi-unit owners do. Think back to when I talked about celebrating wins and how I referenced that owner that calls the spa when a membership's sold. They can receive communication that a membership's been sold, and they can contact that spa associate and celebrate. So absolutely set that up so that even when you're not in that spa, you know what's happening in that building.
And that's done in the alert section in Millennium. Another one that I wish I would have known early on as a manager, marketing will create one custom piece of artwork per month for you. So maybe you are partnering with a yoga studio that's in your plaza for an event. You can create custom flyers with both of your logos on there. Maybe you want a custom demand force to email to the community of, that's near you that you have your email addresses for and offer a special intro offer. So definitely utilize that feature. We also have 11 recorded webinars on LMS for managers and 7 aesthetics for first-year owner webinars also on LMS. All of these are great to watch to start building your best practices in the spa. I suggest one every couple of weeks. There's a lot of content in there. You have about 20 great webinars out there on the leadership side.
I would also invite you to take a look at the titles of these webinars, because even if you've been in the system before we started offering this type of guidance, you're in a different place months and months later, and some of those titles may speak to you now, and it's a really great source to come up with some new ideas. Even if you only walk away with 4 or 5 new ideas, it's worth it. So take a moment to think, what's the current state of the spa? What is my focus? And what could I use a higher level piece of advice on? I bet one of the manager webinar topics and or one of the aesthetics for first year owner topics could be really relevant for either you or one of the leaders in your spa. So it's worth taking another look at that.
definitely. Lisa also has a team of estheticians that you can schedule to come back on site to train your estheticians. So definitely get in contact with Lisa if that's something that you're interested in. We talked about a lot of great things today, a lot of supporting material. This is a list of some of the things that we referenced today. We will upload these documents onto LMS along with this recorded webinar so that you can go back and utilize these resources.
So before we say goodbye, we did want to take a moment to review a little bit more that we have in the works for you as direct support to our owners and managers that are in their first 52 weeks of operations, as well as what we have planned for the end of the year. So I'm hoping everybody on this call plans on attending the annual convention in Nashville this year. And some of you may not know what we have customized for you in your first 52 weeks. So the first thing we offer at the convention, aside from connecting with so many other owners and managers like yourself, is the breakout session for first-year owners. So that's where you're in a room with everybody that's in the same point in business as yourselves. We're also going to have a panel discussion called Breaking in Your Boots. And they're going to review the challenges of first-year spas. We have 3 fantastic owners that have made it through their first 52 weeks and are going to share some of their best practices and takeaways that they learned along the way. 3 very successful owners out in the system there to speak directly to you during those panel discussions.
Can't wait to see you guys there. Coming up in the webinar world, we have Mastering Gift Card Sales for First Year Spas. We did this webinar last year and it was a great hit, so it'll be coming back your way this year. We also have the manager webinar, Slaying Gift Card Season. We think we're funny. We also have our National Gift Card Workshop Tour, so you'll be seeing emails coming out about our in-person SA gift card trainings later this year in early November. And then a ton of really great information will be communicated in our first weekly holiday newsletter.
That's right. So before we go, we're going to take a look at some questions that we may have had received and make sure that we answer them all. Okay, so this person's asking about the member cancellation survey. Great question. Yes, this is automatic. When you log into your account, you have to select a different portal in order to see all of the feedback that may be left and under the cancellation survey. This is a great tool that I think is severely underutilized. We're actually going to have Miss Lauren Cloza and Chelsea Adams hosting a workshop at the annual convention, and they plan on opening by sharing a lot of our findings from the survey. So we'll have a solid year's worth of survey results at that point, and we're going to share what we've learned by surveying these members. But I would encourage all of you to log into the SMG portal and take a look at what your members are saying about their experience in your spa.
A few people asked if this is recorded and if the slides are available. Absolutely, it will be on LMS, hopefully by end of day, if not first thing tomorrow morning, and in the weekly ops update on Monday.
We have some people that are interested in your membership second chance offer.
Perfect.
Excellent. We are writing down your names.
And a few people asking about the text message notification for membership sales. It's done in the alert section. Get with your ops manager if you need detailed help on that. We can definitely get that going for you.
Okay, I think we answered a few of these questions just as we went on further into the webinar. So I think we're all set. If we didn't answer your question, maybe we missed it, feel free to reach out to us directly. We'd be happy to guide you in any way possible. Melissa and I are so grateful for you taking the time to join us today. And we're wishing you all tremendous success, and we hope to see you in Nashville. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks for joining.